we need to use here the endpoint, the traffic manager address, and not here the app service address. So that's the place where we need to be a little bit careful. So let's go back to DNS. We know the process by now. We add a new record. We are going to call that asuid.app, and that's going to be the same one for both. And then we add a text record, which is going to prove that we actually own this domain. All right. Let's go. And now if I add a new record set, and this time we are going to add the CNAME. And here, this is where I need to be a little bit careful to set the TTL unit, the time to leave, to 1 second, because I don't want the value to be cached. I really want the value every time that the request is received, that the traffic manager needs to evaluate the value and to do basically the full request response path. All right, let's put the alias of the traffic manager end site. And so we see that this is here at trafficmanager.net. We are going to save that. And once this is done, we can go back here and validate. Now the validation is working. We can now click on Add Custom Domain. All right. And once this is done, here we can go and refresh. And then we are going to see that this custom domain is defined. Now let's do the same thing for the European endpoint, all right, for the European version of the site. So let's go to custom domain. And again, it's exactly the same thing, except that this time it's going to go faster because, of course, the validation is going to pass this time because we have already done the work of preparing the validation, creating the text record and everything. So now we can directly click on custom domain, and this is going to add the custom domain to this app service. Now, of course, the last thing we need to do is add the SSL binding, because at the moment the traffic is not going to be secure. And so I'm going to choose here app.tailwindtraders.xyz for the domain. I'm going to upload the same certificate that I used before. It's a wildcard certificate, so it's going to work. And again, as a reminder, if you put your certificate into Key Vault, you don't need to upload it many times. And if you renew the certificate, you don't need to renew it everywhere. You just need to renew it in Key Vault. All right, the rest is exactly the same as before. Perfect. So now we have our Europe site set up. And now, well, surprise, surprise, we need to do the same thing again for the central version of the app service. So let's go here again into custom domains. And now we see the custom domain, we can add the binding, and it's exactly the same as before. We are going to use the same domain, of course, because both run exactly the same. Let's add here the PFX certificate. Let's add the password. We can save. Always on Azure with Azure services. And so another service that is interesting to know is Azure Front Door. Now, we don't have really a lot of time to talk about it, and it's also going to be a little bit out of scope of a DNS discussion, but it's good to know that you have the possibility to do things like that. For example, if you have a path which is /images, then the traffic, you can redirect it to, for example, an image CDN for a storage account. And then if you have /script, then you're going to redirect to another CDN storage specifically for script. And of course, you can do that for different applications and different paths of your application. So again, we don't really have time to go deeper into front door here, but I want